Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. I'm Dan Haidt, and this is Flies in the Kitchen. Well, today I'm doing something a little different. Up until now, you've heard me speaking with artists whose art you can hear. From last episode's talk with Hanif, an author and poet, and songwriters in the previous episodes. Well, today I'm sitting down with a painter named Daniel Ferlan, who is, as I record this, presenting an exhibit at Sharon Weiss Gallery in the Short North here in Columbus. But more about that later. There's an obvious challenge, right, in talking about art that the listener can't see, so I have tried to make it a little more accessible for you. At this episode's page on danhaidt.com, or your podcast app if it supports that kind of thing, you can view some of the art that Daniel and I are talking about. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, we recorded this episode at the gallery on the exhibit's second day during Gallery Hop in the Short North. It's nothing near a soundproof studio, obviously, and you'll hear some voices and some music in the background, but it's very minimal, so I wouldn't worry about it. Daniel is a real deep thinker, and you will learn that everything that he paints has a purpose and a story to tell. It's amazing. It'd be impossible to describe all the elements of his art. You'll just have to hear from yourself and, of course, come to the gallery. The exhibit runs through October 31st, and as of today, when I'm dropping this episode, 3 pieces have been sold. So, get down there and check it out. I'll provide the address on the episode's page. Okay, let's get to it. Well, congratulations.
I'm very happy with it. It's a closure too.
Really?
Yeah, like I said, this is about 35 paintings. Or drawings.
What, like
finished drawings that it was too many to do a show, so I had to break them up to 3 different shows.
Oh, okay.
So this is the finale of that idea, which was 8 years.
Oh, wow.
So unfortunately I started working on my next show, and I was getting really bad vibes because it was kind of about death.
Uh-huh.
I thought it was mine. I was like, mortality, all that stuff as you get older, and then that thing happened in winter. And I was like, and all my work subconsciously stuff comes out. Like I drew about having a son before I had a son. I drew me and Winter falling in love and all that before it actually all happened. So it was that weird. So I felt like that energy. I was like, do I really want to start drawing about this?
Wow.
And this is all positive. All this stuff's positive, but the stuff I got kind of dark. I did 5 finished pieces and I put them away. I just put them away. It was just, I feel like I was putting bad energy out or something, and then we found out Winter had cancer in July. So it's weird how that works as an artist.
So a lot of the early pieces were almost forecasting your
everything that has happened,
and then you went on a positive kick.
Very long.
Yeah.
Until July, basically.
Have you done much work since July?
None. I haven't done any work. Gosh, February, March. Haven't touched anything. So I was doing those drawings. I put them away.
Okay. What were those drawings like?
They were just my interpretation of mortality, I guess. Being scared of death and just all that fun stuff. And like I said, I thought it was about me. Then now I have my partner facing that, so it's I don't wish it on anybody.
So you've put them away, but you haven't gotten rid of them.
I haven't gotten rid of them, and I will revisit them.
Yeah,
because I think they're good. I'm very happy with them. They're different than this. It's kind of branching off to they're still mine, but it's a little more different. They breathe a little more.
Right.
Not that these don't. For some people, this is a lot to ingest.
So when you say this, we're talking. We're I'm just going to kind of key everybody in. We're sitting in Sharon Weiss Gallery down the Short North on Lincoln. Is it Lincoln Ave? Lincoln Street? Look at your postcard. Sorry.
Yep, 20 East Lincoln Street.
Lincoln Street, yeah, Lincoln Street, 20 East Lincoln Street, and this is Daniel Ferlan. He's got an exhibit out here, and this is traditionally been kind of a podcast that I did talk to a poet last time, but before then it was songwriters, and so I've had a lot of something for the ears. You know what I mean? And so this is the first one that's really for the eyes.
Sorry, everybody. Yeah, you don't. You'll have to come out and see this show.
Yeah. Well, I what I was thinking about doing was, at least some of the art, some of the drawings or the pictures that you sent to me, some of the scans, I guess.
Yeah.
I might make those available on the episode page.
Okay.
And then we can talk about them, because I mean the one that's on this postcard is this one over here. What's the name of it?
That painting is called "Always with Your Heart Open."
Always with your heart open, and it's. I guess you just have to see. You had mentioned something about a cast of characters, yes. Almost, and when I look at this, I see a cast, and the characters in this are kind of a blend of real and fantasy and imagination and. It's really just in a way, it's, I don't know if cacophony is the word for it. I mean, that's an audio word, but
yeah, what does that mean?
Cacophony.
Yeah,
it's just a blend. It's just a loud noise of many different things.
Oh, okay. I can see that.
Yeah,
I can. The characters. I guess I've been telling people when I get stumped or I don't have any, and I never go out saying, well, I'm going to do a show about love, or I'm going to do a show about, I don't know, money. It just kind of comes organically and naturally, and the characters is something I do where I'll do a huge sheet of paper and literally do these 2-inch characters, and I will do hundreds and hundreds of them. I think I have right now 10 sheets of them, and they're all different. Every character is different. And what I'll do is I might do some bigger figures and stuff, and then I'll let those things kind of inform what's going to be what I like as a composition for a painting. And at the time, I don't really know what it's going to be. I don't know what I'm trying to say necessarily. So when I'm putting these things together, it's kind of like a puzzle. And I'll start with a big idea or a drawing or a character or characters, and I'll start drawing it. I'll never have a set idea like this is what I want to draw. It will literally be one thing, and I will literally build off it. So nothing's planned at all.
Okay.
Besides maybe a couple what the characters are of the hundreds I do, I might pick.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot of your characters kind of recur.
And the characters do, and people think they're random or they're just filling up space, but a lot of the characters do to me, and I don't. It's too much to describe what everyone means. When people see the paintings, there are a lot of characters in the paintings, so they do all mean something, and they're not random.
Right.
They all have a symbolic meaning to me. Not that they're code or anything, but to me, and anyone else that looks at them can have their own interpretation of what it means. But it's kind of a idea of celebration of just all kinds of different things, people kind of out and about, and a lot of these paintings are about kind of a celebration. When I became a father, and I met my partner Winter Whiteside 8 years ago, and what we built together. So it's kind of all just. So I did 30 when I met her. I did. Speaking of muses, I did literally 30, and I had not painted or drew for 4 years after my last show at Sharon Weiss Gallery. So I was at a stump, and I even knew when that show was over that I was going to take a break. I didn't know it was going to be 4 years. Wow. So, and when I met her, it just rejuvenated everything. I think like my last 3 shows are basically about us and just our journey together.
Mm-hmm.
So she's definitely a muse, and she's definitely pushed me. And she's an artist herself. She's a fantastic painter. I saw her work at a coffee shop in Worthington 15, 16 years ago. And I knew of her. I had a friend who knew her, but I didn't know her personally. Mm-hmm. So I saw there was paintings behind the counter, and I just thought they were fantastic. They were very Cy Twombly influenced, but they were done very well. And I come to find out it was her paintings. Huh. So fast forward probably 10 years, another 8 years, I saw a show that she had at a gallery called the Mahan Gallery, and I just thought it was one of the best shows I've ever seen. And her work's very different than mine. She's abstract, and she does thread and needlework inside oil paint, and it's just very fluid. It's different than mine, but I'm attracted to it because I like all kinds of different styles of art. So when I met her and we talked art, and we had books, and she woke me up with my color palette changed, my themes changed, they became lighter, and so that's what these 3 shows are about. And this is the final of the 3. This is the finish of the idea of what I did 8 years ago. So this is 8 years in the making, almost a decade in the making. As long as our relationship has been, basically, this is what this show is. So it means a lot to me. And the last painting I painted was obviously my son on my back giving a piggyback.
Is that the one?
And I don't do literal self-portraits. Sure. I just don't. Not that I think they're corny. I just I don't do them because I'm probably not good at them. So I kind of do interpretations or an idea of what I feel. And
it's beautiful. It's you and he's on your back.
And he does have devil ears.
He has little devil.
So I love you, Ian Gray, but
he's got a little devil horns coming out of his forehead. But there are hearts flying above you.
Exactly. And he loves his daddy.
And there's a heavens above you, and there's
exactly.
It's like your characters are up there.
It's a gift.
Celebrating.
They're looking over.
They're looking
celebrating. Over. Exactly.
They're watching over.
That's what that painting meant to me. Oh. And it's the biggest symbolic painting I've done. And I said, and that's why I like. And then you also had the egg in there and stuff, which is another thing about birth and just all kinds of a lot of different symbols. And so that's that painting means a lot to me. And it's one of those paintings I did that combines a little bit of my old style and new style. And what I mean by that is I used to paint very impasto, which is very thick. Yeah. Palette knife. Yeah. And in the background on that painting, if you look closer, it's going back to an old style that I did. So I like that it was accumulation of my old and new, and it's probably where my work's going that I've been working on now. Yeah. So that painting is going to probably influence the next show I do.
Well, okay. So you've talked. I mean, you said that there's so many characters you can't get into every one of them. Yeah. But let me ask you about a couple of them. Okay. Because one of the things I see, and especially in this one, is are the roses. Yes. Okay, so there's a rose at the top of this piece, and then there's the 2 flowers in the middle. Yes. And it looks, I mean, there's some symmetry there, but there's your eye is kind of drawn up into that rose. Yes. It's very simple. Tell me about that the rose. To me, on that particular painting, is the blooming of life. Okay. So when we found out we were going to be parents, to me that is rebirthing. It's something that's opening and coming to life. So that was, and I don't know why a flower and not a baby coming out, or No. I do, like I said, I do symbolism more, and to me that it made sense. And the birds are just kind of like the freedom, and just the change, and just the carrying on to the new the new part of your life. And then the skulls, and which I was talking to someone who actually bought that painting we're talking about right now. Oh yeah. People think, I use skulls as a symbol a lot in my paintings. People always ask me why, and people either think it's macabre or dark, and I always say I use it as a symbol to keep living, because I mean that's what we are. I mean we're organic. We are that, and it's a reminder. Just don't stop pursuing what you want to do. Don't stop living, because we are not going to be here forever. So to me, that was a symbol of what that means. It doesn't mean necessarily death, but it also means, don't take anything for granted. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's overwhelming to be in this room and just look around and see all these pieces, because there's so much happening in all of them, and this exhibit is throughout the month, right, of October?
Yes, I think October through October to October 31st.
31st, okay.
Yep.
So,
Halloween night.
I strongly encourage you all to come out and look at these paintings and see what I'm talking about.
I think people will be entertained. And whether you like it or not, I think it's something that's, fun to look at. Or maybe not, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I believe it is. You can get lost in them and really study each character very closely, and because every one of them have a story.
Yes, like I said, this is...
is there one that you're drawn to specifically, a specific character that you really care about the most?
Particular paintings in this show that I'm drawn to?
Well,
or just...
characters that you've created that... Because I can see... okay, so there's one... Where is he? He's over here. He looks like a guy with a bear costume, and he's carrying the head of the bear. Is that what it is?
Oh, the ones on the bottom with the rose?
Yeah,
those two characters? Yeah, that's actually...
Well, no, those are the rabbits, but then up to the left, there's a kid walking, and he's got a it looks like a bear.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's loosely a self-portrait. My first show I did, we made a short film, and it was a black and white film. It was soundless, and I had made this bear costume head that I wore. And,
oh yeah,
because it was supposed to be kind of a symbolic meeting of me and Winter, and she made a bunny one.
Okay,
so that is as simple as that. It's
and there's
kind of
the bunny down there.
Going back to all these things are connected from the last 3 shows. I have so many, and if you saw all the shows, it would be neat to have people connect up, because some people have bought something for every show, and they'll be like, I saw this character, because they'll think they're the same. Isn't this from the same show? But I thought it was neat to interlink all the shows and have reoccurring characters. Yeah. And then people can look at like, oh, I see that one and that one, and this one was over here.
Well, I just realized I answered your question for you with my own opinion when I said, I was like, well, who are you drawn to? And I told you who I was drawn to. Okay. So is there anyone that you're?
Character-wise, I definitely like the self-portrait one.
Okay.
I drew that on paper. It was about as big as it is on a canvas, which what do you think, about a foot tall on the painting. I just drew that, and it's a pencil drawing, and it's really, I loved it, and I was drawn to it. And I didn't know what the painting was going to be. Going back to the process of how I work, I just did this character that I just thought was fantastic. And I was like, well, how do I build around this? Okay. And then I did which was end up being my son on the piggyback riding my shoulders and stuff, which I have a photograph of that to this day. Yeah. So that's and then these two right here, the characters. There's the skeleton one and the fleshed out person. Those paintings went together. Those were supposed to kind of...
There's a winter scene, and then
the middle, the ones on each side. Okay. Those were...
And then
I think you might have been hearing, I was telling a couple that they want to know the meaning of that, and I told them when you become a father, it changes your perspective on a lot of things. And if you come to the gallery, you see it there. One's walking forward, one's walking backwards. Any way you want to interpret it, but the skeleton character is kind of like it's going to sound a little macabre and morbid, but it's kind of when you become a father, part of you dies, but so you can be reborn for something better. Yeah. So the skinless part, the skeleton walking away from, what could have been a future, and then the other characters, me more fleshed out, going forward. Okay. And as you see, it's a celebration again. It's happy and just so. But those two paintings, and I think that those two started this show. Those two characters I'm talking about, the skeleton and the guy with the rainbows coming out of his hands with the funny heads. Yeah. So those two characters. Oh, okay. Mean a lot.
Okay. You see it?
The rainbows. That one's got glare on it, but it's got the skeleton. But those two characters mean a lot to me because they are self-portraits in a way. Yeah. So I like those a lot. And then all my little characters have a little place in my heart, so it's hard to pick the little ones. Yeah. So I focus on just the bigger ones because that's what I usually build the stuff off of.
See, there's another one, the rabbit. I'm assuming that's kind of representing winter.
Because she loves rabbits, yes.
She's the rabbit.
She had 2 rabbits when we first met, so rabbits will always symbolize her.
So this is, and again, I'm really sorry for everybody listening to hear us describing things that you can't see, but I do encourage everybody to come out to the Sharon Weiss Gallery and look at these paintings. They're all through October. They're really beautiful, and it is a feast for the eyes, really. And it's so many so many details and so many emotions that go through it.
There is a lot.
Yeah. So how about giving me a little idea of just where this all began for you? Just with your artist's kind of knack. I mean, were you an artistic kid?
I definitely had an affinity for it. I was drawn to it. Growing up in, late 70s, early 80s, cartoons, and I always say my first thing that I was drawn to was Popeye. So,
really?
My dad, what he would do, he wasn't an artist, but he could draw Popeye really well.
Mm-hmm.
So what he would do to get me to put away groceries was like he told me, that's back in the day when they didn't have plastic. It was on paper.
Yeah, all paper bags.
Brown paper bags. And so what he would do, he would tell me to go put away all the groceries. And when you come back, we'll fold this up and I'll do a drawing on it for you of Popeye. So I just thought it was the most magical thing to watch, and he would do it from memory, and he did it perfect. And I was like, wow, that magic, that power is very, I like it. I like to have something that can be yours and you can remember it and put it out. So I always say that was my first thing. So once I watched him do it, I started doing it all the time, and that's where it started drawing all the time. Characters and like I said, growing up also in the 80s and PBS TV, which public access, which I don't know, does it exist anymore?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe not in the level it was back then. But Bob Ross.
Well, sure. Yeah. I mean, if you watch, or antenna broadcast TV.
I didn't know that.
You've got the various channels.
But Bob Ross was huge. I used to watch him all the time, paint the trees and stuff, and even the techniques I saw when I was like little. Because I remember I was a kid. My parents bought me a kit, and they were oil paint. We knew nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know how complex oil paints were to use. So I would try to make a painting with pine trees and everything, and it just became mud. Because I didn't know how to work. It's wet.
Yeah.
So you just don't know how to mix it. Right. So I never touched it again. I didn't touch oil paints until I was in college. I don't know if that was because of the Bob Ross experience on his.
Yeah.
It just was horrible. So, but yeah, I took advanced classes in elementary school, and they even wanted me to take, do some college classes when I was in elementary school, just drawing, and just like just thought I had a knack for it, I guess. So, but ironically, when I became a teenager, it all stopped, and I didn't really do it much. So, it wasn't until I was probably 18. I had a buddy who was going to go either art to Pittsburgh or CCAD, and he told me at the time he was probably going to go to Art Institute of Pittsburgh. So I was like, all right, and you didn't need, all you had to do was show them some drawings. You didn't have to have a huge portfolio. I mean, if you had the money, you could go to art school there. I don't know, it's probably changed. But I was like, okay. I was like, I kind of slacked off in school a little bit, and I got good grades in art class, but I was like, this might be something. I don't want to go work my family business or something. So I was like, I'll give this a try. I was good at it. So I end up getting in, and he got a scholarship to CCAD, so he went to CCAD, which is a very awesome school, but a very expensive one. So I went to Art Institute in Pittsburgh, and that's why I started doing oil paint. And it scared the heck out of me because I had that experience at the Bob Ross paint kit. I was like, oh, this is a tough medium. So that was when I was 19.
Yeah.
So I didn't really get back into art. I didn't do it for about 5 or 6 years. I just, you get older and high school and just shenanigans.
Yeah.
I just didn't, it wasn't an outlet for me anymore. So it wasn't until my senior year that I started picking it back up and taking it serious. And then I went to school there for 2 years. Got my associate degree, and my friend who went to CCAD was here still, and I was visiting him, and I was like, as time with short notice and stuff was still a little rough, but affordable, and a lot of musicians, a lot of artists. It was just a cool vibe.
Yeah.
So we ended up moving here right after I graduated. So I've been here now for like probably 23 years, and I've been showing with Sharon probably 16.
Yeah.
So, and I've done some side galleries here. When I first came to Columbus, it was coffee shops. Like my first show I ever did was the King Avenue Vegetarian. I think it was called King Avenue Vegetarian Restaurant over on King Avenue. It was my very, very first show. I remember I just walked in. I was like, showed them some picture. I mean, you can't do that nowadays. Everything's so internet crazy. I actually cold walked in and was like, "You want to show this work?" And they said yes. And I sold my first piece ever. And I was 21 years old, and I thought it was the coolest. I was like, wow, someone actually paid money. It was like $100, but $100 when you're 21 years old is. And he ended up buying 6 more pieces. So I had 2 shows there and did the coffee shop circuit for a while, and I did some gallery. I did a Barth Gallery show with Eric Barth, who I'm still friends with this day. He's a mentor and a friend, a great artist in his own right. And I've done like just a couple Acme Art Company back in the day. I'd known Sharon for 15 years, and I think the good thing about being with the Sharon Weiss Gallery is she lets her artists kind of, as you know, you're a musician yourself, so as you know, you kind of go through, you change. That's just what artists should do. Yeah. And unfortunately, when people are patrons of what you do, it's hard to get away from a style. So I've had, like I said, my style was way different when I was 20. I did these big brash paintings that were 6 foot big and heavily painted. They almost looked like sculptures, and people liked them, and they sold well. And then I didn't want to do them anymore. I was in my studio, and I was like, I'm done doing this part of my life, and I changed, and people didn't like the change. So I had some people who went with me, and some that didn't. And with Sharon, which is different than most galleries, I think, is she let me kind of change, and I don't think a lot of galleries can take risk like that and do that, because I mean, it is a business. Right. And when you have people who collect your work and they like a certain way you do something, for a gallery owner, it's got to be kind of scary. Like, okay, you're going to do this? Yeah. So if you saw my older work in this, it's night and day. It was this is very more complex and just a lot busier, and techniques a little more tighter. Where before it was like more free, and I only use palette knives. Yeah. I wouldn't even use a brush. So that's why with the Sharon Weiss Gallery, she's been great, just me being able to evolve and change, and that's where we are now.
Yeah. So where things are now, then, especially with winter and how things are going, you've talked about how your art has been a foretaste to things. Yeah. Is that a possible part of why things are stalled for you right now?
Probably. I definitely work in burst. And finishing this show, I always get a feeling of fatigue, and when I do, I don't force anything. So I was doing a lot of drawings. I have like 5 finished drawings, but I was just feeling tired with it, and let's say I work a regular job, so I don't need to rely on this for my income. Right. And I don't want to do. I don't ever want to. I made a choice a long time ago not to do stuff just to make a living with art, because I did it for a while and it just wasn't very fulfilling. And it was left me empty. So I was like, I'd rather go work a job that I might just work a job, and then do this and do it the way I want to do it, because it just means a lot to me, and it's a big part of who I am. So why would I want to change any of that? So I listen to myself. When I'm ready to do something, I do it, and when I'm not, I'm not. And I don't worry about it. It will come when it comes, and I'll be ready. And like I said, with a 3.5-year-old running around, and it's just hard to sometimes find time. And like I said, looking back in this show in particular, done. As you know, we worked together, so I'd come home between midnight and 1 and paint till 4 o'clock in the morning. So it's daunting as I get a little older to think, all right, can I really? When you're in it, you don't think about it too much. It just needs to get done. Right. But now that I'm, I stepped away from it and just saw how much it took. Because I always said if I do art, I don't want to take away from my family time. Right. Because I work second shift, so I don't see Winter that much sometimes. I see Ian during the day, but I don't, sit home with him at night, and I miss soccer stuff and just things like that. So right. I made a vow to myself, I'm going to keep doing art. It's not going to be a sacrifice to my family. So unfortunately, it's in those wee hours of the night that I get to work. And then Winter's nice enough to, like, on a Saturday or Sunday, give me 3 hours in the afternoon or something, 2 hours in the afternoon to work. So, but it takes a lot, and as you see with the work, it's very slow, it's very detailed, so it takes me a long time. Like I said, I think I've done a total of 29 paintings in 8 years. So I'm not very prolific, but that's okay. Like I said, I'd rather take my time and get my vision out the way I want it than to rush something. But you can't rush these.
Well, no, you're absolutely right, and I can relate in a sense, just being a songwriter, and I'm not a very prolific songwriter.
Yeah.
It takes me, sometimes I'll have a burst of inspiration, and then it'll just happen.
Yep.
So is that kind of then how it works for you then?
It definitely works that way for me too. Like you said, I'm sure you fool around your guitar all the time, but nothing probably comes, or you might hear something that you like or know, like, okay, maybe I can use that somewhere else. It's the same with how I work with the paintings. Is I'll do these characters and these drawings, and like I said, this was a burst. When I met Winter, like I told you, I had not done anything for about 3 or 4 years, so I knocked out 30 to 35 drawings in about a year, and my drawings are pencil drawings that are just as detailed as the paintings. Yeah. So I had this overwhelming, had to get it out.
Right.
So. And as you know, as a musician or an artist in general, as you get older, you listen to yourself a little more. You know when it's time, when something's good, or when it's time to do something. So that's just how I am. I'd rather have, quantity over quality. So I'd rather leave this earth with maybe 50 paintings that are that I really, really love than have 200, 300 paintings where I might not like, not even a quarter of them. Yeah. So it's always been a big deal to me to make quality work and work that I'm very proud of. And like I said, it's a process for me, and I fight it all the time. Because like right now, I'm like, oh, it's been like 8 months I haven't done anything. I'm getting panicky. Yeah. But I also, I'm just not ready to go. Like I said, with life stuff that's happened and stuff lately, I'm not ready to go there. And it takes a lot. Yeah. As an artist, it just takes a lot of you, and you don't. And if you like your partner or you like your child, you don't want to take any time away from them. And I don't. I love my family, so I don't want to take any time away from them. Yeah.
So then what I'm hearing is that each painting has a story to tell. Yeah. And it's a pretty clear narrative of just
pretty
a part
clear.
of.
Yeah. Like I said, the name of the show is Your Eyes Before the Golden Dawn. Yeah. Which is when you meet someone, you have that moment of like, okay, this is the person. And I remember we had talk all night, and we probably had drinks, and we were standing on her back porch, and we were watching the sun come up. And I remember looking into her eyes, and I remember thinking, I mean, like, I'm sure with your wife, we're just saying, when you meet, you just know this is probably going to be the one. So this is kind of my love letter to that and to her, and just what she's given me with making me a father and just giving me a child. And so these 3 shows are a love letter to her. That's she's been my inspiration, my muse, and I know if she hears this, she'll think it's corny and cheesy and just all that, but it's totally true. And but that's the title of the show, is about the time I looked into her eyes, and it looked like before the golden dawn, the sun was coming up, and it was just, to me, that moment that you kind of like get that chill and just like, okay, yeah. So that I named the show after that moment, and that's kind of like the accumulation of the first show. As if they don't know, the first show was called Through to Your Bones, which is how I felt when I fell in love, and then Deaf to the Heavens was the second show, which was kind of being deaf to what, I don't know if you want to call it a higher power. These gifts you take for granted, and when I became a father, to me that was the biggest gift, and it's magical, and it's just, there's no rhyme or reason. It was just fantastic. And then the title of the show is Your Eyes Before the Golden Dawn. So, like I said, this is essentially about me and what me and my partner have created over the last 8 years. Wow. And like I said, it's kind of weird that it's done. It's not done. Right. I'm never done. Right. But this chapter is done. Yeah. So it's kind of sad. It's exciting, but it's also kind of sad because I spent so much time with this idea.
Well, 8 years.
Yeah. 8 years. Almost a decade. Yeah. Kind of scary to think. But I'm glad it's done. I'm very happy with everything, and I love how everything turned out, and I wouldn't change anything of them.
Well, it's fantastic. I'm glad I got to see it in person, and I've seen and you sold 2 tonight, right?
Yes, I sold 2 tonight, and 1 on the opening. So and it's up. Like I said, it's up through October. So we're hoping.
Are they gonna? Now I noticed while we were talking. What is this? The Sharon's husband?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm coming and moving a few things around. He moved.
Exactly. Well, the lady who bought the painting that was on that wall is from Austin, Texas.
Oh, so they're going to ship
she's
that.
she's visiting.
Okay.
I actually met her tonight. She's a really sweet lady. So
is this one going to stay out?
Yeah, they usually stay, but for the shipping and everything.
Yes.
I was like, yeah. I was like, you came in. You can take it home.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
Austin's kind of a far trip. And,
yeah.
And not that I don't trust our postal system.
Right.
But
well, and I'm glad that that'll stay up for a little while, just because we were talking about it. And,
yes.
And it's good.
Have a video. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love for people to come and check it out. And it's right off of High Street. It's Lincoln Street.
Short North.
Short North. Yeah. It's just. I mean, we're in the middle of gallery hop right now, so there's traffic is a little bit hairy getting here, but it's
football game and
football game.
Italian festival I think is going on tonight too.
Oh really?
I think so.
See, I can't even keep up. There's always something happening.
I know there's a lot. I'm parked far away. I know that much.
Well, Daniel, I appreciate you talking about this.
Oh, thank you.
And I can't wait to see what happens with this. And gosh, I want to take something home too.
Well, you do have payment plans here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's even better.
For anyone who out there comes and wants to take a look at anything.
Awesome. So, well, thanks, man. I appreciate.
Oh, no problem. I appreciate you coming in and spending a little bit of time with me tonight.
Yeah. Thanks.
No problem.
Wasn't that great? I loved hearing about his story and where it all falls into place in his art. It made me wish that I could paint. Daniel's a real bohemian, though, and has no presence whatsoever on social media, so good luck finding him. Your best bet is to come by Sharon Weiss Gallery right away before the end of October and see his work. All right, guys, that's it. If you haven't already, check out my social media presence. Apparently, I'm not as much a bohemian as Daniel. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at FITK Pod. Hey, thanks again for listening, and let's go make some stories.